Hey Ryan, hello, hello. How are you?
Hey, brother. Thank you so much for having me on your show, man.
Oh, thank you so much. You know what? I wanted to start this a long time ago, and I'm sure you probably know I started this few years ago. I started doing motivational stuff every 7 a.m. and slowly lockdown kicked in, and then I stopped and I was doing something else and I was doing this, doing that. And it's been in my belly. How do I put that? It's been brewing for a long time. And you know what? You were the first person I said I need to have you on my show, and I
Let's
think
go.
similarly because again, the kind of person you are, what you do, Ryan, your messages, I watch it, I watch it
Thank you,
just
man.
in case you don't know, I watch it, and I see that it's grown massively. You've been consistent with it. Ryan, thank you for coming on the show. The Leadership Game podcast is just here to talk literally about leadership and to bring interesting people with their stories and to share their journey, their concept of leadership. And again, this is all about exploring the complexities and the simplicities of leadership. Ryan, thank you for being here.
Love it. Oh, thank you so much for the intro, man. Yeah, it's a joy. I've been podcasting now for 5 years, I think it was. The irony is, and don't tell anybody, I didn't set out to be a podcaster. Like I just, much like you, wanted to have good conversations with good people. Yeah, I'm blessed to have done over 1,000 episodes now, which is amazing. So looking forward to this
Wow.
chat, my friend.
Wow. Did you say 1,000 episodes?
Yeah, 250 interviews. And then in the pandemic, I started to use my podcast. I realized that it was a great opportunity for me to just express myself. So I used to put out,
Mm,
I still do, up to about 5 minute episodes, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So what that really
mm,
helped me get was clarity. Yeah, clarity on a message
mm,
that you just talked about. And I got
mm.
that clarity by looking backwards. Every day I'd come to the mic, share an insight, and then I was able to kind of look back at this body of work and go, I keep talking about some of these things. Maybe I can package
Mm,
them in a way that's more coherent.
wow, wow, wow. So tell us, who is Ryan? What is, before we go into your work that you do, who is Ryan? Tell us about that.
Thank you, mate. So I'm Ryan Hartley. I grew up in a single parent family in the southwest of England. I've been with my childhood sweetheart since I was 15. So my wife and I celebrated 21 years together last year. We have two children. I have a son, Corey, who's 11, and a daughter, Brooke, who's 8. Two dogs.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I spent, 15 years of my working life in the UK Police Service in a variety of civilian roles. And along with my leadership journey came the opportunity to train as a coach. Fell in love with helping people be better. And in the early days, I was what you'd call a mindset coach, but I was working with principles of leading with love and heart and values. And I've coined this term heart set. So I'm what I would call a heart-centered leadership coach. And I help connect people with their heart set. I help people bring more of their heart work to the world. And I think the ripple effect of that is we will leave a heart print where people are left better than they were yesterday. And
Mm,
yeah, in the last few years, I've become a follower of the King as well, follower of Christ.
amazing, amazing stuff. Oh wow, that's a journey on its own.
Mm, not
So
one I
what
asked
kicked
for, I'll
off?
add you.
Tell us about that for a minute. Because I'm also a man of faith,
Hmm.
and interesting again. I, when I read about you, the heart-centered leadership, I see where all that's coming from.
Yeah.
But tell us about that. Where did that happen? Where did you find
Yeah.
Christ?
Well,
How did that happen?
well, so I was an analyst by trade, and you're very analytical, very my training and my background is very much psychology graduate. Watched one too many crime documentaries in my time. I really like love the mind. Um,
Mm,
and I was never going to surrender to this idea of a man on a cloud. You know what I mean? Like, just I was never going to surrender to this idea of a heavenly father, mainly in part because I have an earthly one that, fallen short in a number of different ways. Um,
mm,
I guess the byproduct that then created in me is that I just, I I don't like the phrase, but I've made myself a god. Do you know what I mean? In terms of, I'll figure it
Mm,
out. I'll be the one to
mm,
make stuff happen. Like, I don't rely on anything
mm,
or anyone. Don't ask for help.
mm,
And you can only do
mm,
that so long before you cause yourself pain and suffering, right? And that's what I did.
mm,
I tried to work
mm,
so hard to control my own destiny that it caused me
mm,
suffering both in my health, my marriage, and in my work.
mm,
So I was put on my backside and given an opportunity to, really reevaluate my life. And the irony is, in my marital struggles, my wife found faith. And she's like, "Hey, you need to read this." Like, give me the Bible. I'm like, "Oh, like not a chance." Like, but I had a desire to make it up and to at least make things better in our marriage for the sake of us all, really. And so I agreed to go to this church festival. It's called Big Church.
Mm,
It was called Big Church Day Out.
yeah,
And I was like,
right.
oh,
Yeah, I
it
heard
was like
about
my
that.
idea is like my worst nightmare. I thought I was going to spend time with like 30,000 Ned Flanders. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I don't want to
Mm.
be. I was just like, that's not me. That's not who I am. And I went to this festival, and mate, honestly, it just blew my mind. I'd never seen worship like it. Songs were speaking to me. Like, I'm a people watcher, and people were having intimate moments with God in the middle of a field, they're having their worship moments. And I was like, something about this, man. There's something pulling me in. But
Mm,
anyway, I'd started to listen to the music. That was the way that God was speaking to me. Hadn't really accepted it at this point, but I was working with this idea of leading with love. And I was listening to things like Love Does by Bob Goff and talking about Jesus, and I was like, yeah, like this dude's a good guy, right? This guy is a great
mm,
leader. He's
mm,
absolutely a great leader. Um, but he was a caricature, if you know what I mean. I hadn't really accepted him as king. And then we ended up in church locally in the Vineyard denomination, and it was Father's Day. And the pastor said, "Come on, man, we're going to say, give you a commissioning, we say some nice things over you." I thought, what's the worst that can happen? I'm a father. I could. He's just going to bless me. He's going to say some nice things. And the pastor said, "That's it, women. If you want to put your hands out towards these men, you do that." And like, it's like my wife Hadoukened me in the spine. It was like my
mm,
entire body caught
mm,
fire. My eyes streamed, and I just
mm.
walked back to my wife. I said, "I just want to say I feel like a child of God, and I don't want to talk about this ever again." That was
Wow,
2019. And I
wow,
guess I've just tried
wow.
to be a
Mm,
disciplined follower ever since.
mm,
The journey continues to grow and
mm,
ever deepen. But
mm.
man, my heart's on fire for the king, that's for sure.
Wow, amazing stuff. Amazing story there, Ryan,
Thank you, mate.
And yeah, some of my listening to this or watching this video might say, "Well, how does that correlate with leadership?" Let me ask you this. Has there been any massive impact based on your faith and then leadership?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if anyone that sees this over my shoulder, there's like a model of three or four circles, and as I was working through my own leadership models, I say I coined this term heart set for me, which is deeper than mindset. I think we can
Mm,
achieve great things with the mind, but if it's not tethered to something deeper, we'll end up with like Penguins of Madagascar moment where we look around and
mm,
we've built a life
mm,
that we're
mm,
trapped by. We're like, oh, this sucks, right? Because
mm, mm,
it's not the expression
mm.
of who we are, it's the definition and the entrapment.
Come
So,
on now. Come
so
on
this
now.
model in the middle is about heart, mind,
Mm, mm,
skills, and then community. Heart set, mindset, skill set, and then community. And then I'm
mm,
journeying my faith, and then in the book of Mark it says, "Go love the Lord your God with all your heart, or your mind, or
mm,
your strength, and
mm,
go love your neighbor." I'm like,
mm,
this model's
mm.
2,000 years old. It's not my model at all. And I think there's a whole amount of peace that comes with like knowing that you're doing good work in the world that's rooted in, is rooted in wisdom, timeless wisdom.
Mm,
And as for my faith, as I continue to grow deeper in being a disciplined follower, people get sent my way. I align my will with that of the Lord, and I just say, I'm here to do your work. I trust that I have been given gifts and skills and talents.
mm, mm,
And
mm,
in 1 Peter 4:10 it says, the gifts and skills and talents, they're not for you. They're for those in the world who need
mm.
it.
Come on now.
So
Come
that's
on
the
now.
that's the trust and faith that
Wow.
I have, is it really makes a difference, is that I know that there's something in me that the world needs. And there's something in everybody.
I'm talking.
I'm an encourager. And as a
Yeah.
coach and as an encourager, my job is to help people realize who they are and what
Mm,
they have in the world is meant to be given
mm,
to others. That's why it's called a gift, isn't it? We're supposed to give it away. That doesn't mean to say
mm.
for free. That's a whole different business
Yeah,
conversation, but
yeah.
it does mean to say that we're supposed to use it in the service of others.
Come on now. I was teaching leadership 3 years, 3 years. I mean, from 2019 when I joined the John Maxwell program,
Yep.
and I think fantastic. John Maxwell, brilliant, brilliant when it comes to leadership conversation. He was the one that opened my eyes to it. But then as you go deeper and deeper, you realize there's a whole lot more than
Mm.
just influencing people. How do we influence people?
Yeah.
And what I see out there is leadership by manipulation,
Yes.
leadership by domination. Then they miss out the hard part, which is what you're
Yeah.
saying. You could get trapped by all the
Well,
the stuff that you have. Mm,
100%. And this is
mm,
this is my time
mm.
in policing, right? I think the lowest form of leadership is by using your rank, your hierarchy, and your position.
My
For
goodness,
me, that's
my
the style of
goodness.
leadership
Yeah,
where people follow because they have to, not because they want to.
yeah, not
And
because
then there's another a level of that leadership, which is, well, people will follow us because of like the results that we've got. This guy delivers
mm,
results. Okay, I trust him. I
mm,
follow him. I think, but the
yeah.
greatest form of leadership is
Mm,
people follow us because of who they are, of who we are. And
yeah.
if you want to
Mm,
take it a step further, it's
mm,
because they feel two things whilst in our presence. They either feel
mm,
safe enough or inspired
mm.
enough. Because
Come on.
I think with any leadership, with any moving from where we are to where we could be, there's
Mm,
uncertainty. There's,
mm,
the fight flight response that will kick in, right? Or
mm,
freeze or fawn.
mm,
And
mm,
I think great leadership is about helping people overcome that chimp response with a
mm,
chosen response. Yeah. There's that
mm, mm,
initial, oh. And I think as a
mm,
leader, if we can help people feel safe enough or inspired enough to bridge that gap, then and that's more
mm,
about who we are being, not the specific words
mm,
I'm saying. There's no algorithm that says if I just say these 19 words in this order,
mm,
then I'll get everything I
mm,
want. It's no, 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 no. It's like,
mm,
how do you?
mm,
And there's so
mm,
much research out there that's all
mm.
about, oh, psychological safety this, psychological safety that. And I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to the day when the
Mm.
research comes out that says that it's unconditional love that creates the context for psychological safety, for
Come
trust,
on.
for all these
Come on.
key components of leadership. It is the spirit of Jesus. It is
Mm,
that unconditional
mm,
love that creates the
mm.
context for that.
It's an interesting what you're saying today just resonates with things with everything I believe about leadership, and I think it's highly missing in every almost every industry, almost every company is operating from a different philosophy. And I was kind of sharing this with some people about this philosophy, and I think nobody really got it. They really got it. But I like the two things you just said there. People feel safe and inspired.
Mm.
Mm. You
Well,
don't have to dangle the carrots in front of them.
no.
Mm,
No, it's not
mm,
about helping people get more, right? And because
mm.
that's so often filled with a lack mentality. I was very fortunate enough to interview Dr. Gary Chapman, who wrote the Five Love Languages, and
Yeah.
something on the very last page of that book haunts me and
Mm,
inspires me, which is that it says that for all the love we do not receive as children, we become adults that seek that in the world. And
mm,
it just made me
mm,
realize that so many people are using their work, their
mm,
businesses, their leadership as a
mm,
method to get the
mm,
love with which they did not get as children.
mm.
And for me, I've spent the
Woo.
last 3 to 5 years going, how do you have that conversation in corporate?
Come on now. Come on now. How do you?
Yeah, well, it's
I,
it's it's and do you know what? The best way I can have that conversation is to invite leaders to come to the world lacking nothing, having all that they need so that they may serve from the overflow. I don't need to go
mm,
poking around people's wounds. I just need to encourage
mm,
leaders to look after themselves, not necessarily
mm,
self-love, because I think
mm,
self-love is hedonism. I think the
mm,
purpose of self-love is that a better me means that I give
mm,
you a better me. It is that I can
mm,
serve you from
mm,
my overflow. Because if you can't
mm,
give what you've not got, imagine how much you
mm.
can give if you've got a lot, right? And I know that I'm so
Yeah.
much more giving and loving
Mm,
and serving when I'm
yeah.
abundant in my spirit.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Ryan, this is this is it. This is the kind of conversation I want to be having.
Well,
Conversation. How do we give from that place of abundance? Talk to me.
the
Mm,
thing for me is Psalm 23:1. It just starts with the
mm,
Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. I have
Come
all
on.
that I need. And sometimes
Mm,
sometimes the world does not need to change, but the way we see ourselves and our position within it just needs a slight shift in perspective. Because
mm,
so much of the way that culture works is to make us feel like we are lacking and
mm.
inadequate. So we live in a
Come on.
commercialistic, capitalistic
Yeah.
world that first says,
Mm,
hey, you lack this. There's a
mm.
so Johan Hari wrote a book called Lost Connections, incredible book on depression, right? The eight
Okay.
causes or the eight disconnections that lead to depression. And he interviewed a marketing expert, a marketing director. And the marketing director said to Johan, he says, our marketing is most effective when people are left to feel inadequate without our product. That, my friends, is the spirit of marketeers at the highest level.
Mm,
When we realize that marketeers, social media is
mm,
there just to gain our attention, when we
mm,
realize that culture is not our friend, we realize
mm,
that actually it's
mm,
hidden in plain sight. So if we, and this is why
mm,
Jesus is work is so
mm,
counter the world, right? Because it says
mm,
you don't want
mm,
that pride, you don't want that
mm,
success, you don't want all that
mm,
stuff.
mm,
Why?
mm,
Because you were first made to believe that that wasn't present. That's not what
mm,
God says. God says that you're loved, you lack nothing, you have all that you need. I'll provide for you.
mm.
Well, that doesn't
Come on
sell.
now.
That doesn't sell.
Mm.
I can't.
Doesn't. No.
I can't make a consumer of you, Kelvin. If you have all that you need, that makes my job as a salesman a lot harder. But it
Mm.
starts
And
there.
I love that. I really love that because I don't even know how to say this. I've been involved in a group for a very long time now, and recently I had to walk away, and we had some this again I'll say we had some philosophers that were being challenged. I
Mhm.
had to challenge some things that they didn't sit right with most people there, and now when I even look back, where the way we were creating the program that we were running was how could we give them more that they never leave us? How can we, in other words, we're trying to tell them you are inadequate without me. We're trying to give
Mm.
them a philosophy that if you don't belong to this elite set of people, that you are, you're missing out.
Yeah.
And people come in because of the fear of missing out, feeling that they need to be in there. And we were using that. And I remember quite recently where one of the objectives was how do we create a program that constantly gives them, but they also need it that dependency.
Mm.
Again, the philosophy that I'm operating now is when we look at the life of Jesus, Jesus said, I have to
Mm.
go so that you can increase. Ah, mm,
Yeah.
that's a different, and that's exactly what you just said. It's a different mindset, it's a different philosophy, it's a
Yes.
different concept of leadership. I walk away so you can increase. No, that I stay here and feel like the king, and
Yeah.
you always need me.
Well, and this is it. So why do we get given free will? Because that's love, right? The love is the
Yeah.
freedom. And when we create dependency, particularly as coaches, I see a lot of people, right, elevating themselves to such a position.
Mm,
There's this idea that
mm,
for me, one of the greatest learnings I've had is that you're either leading from love or for love. Yeah. And if you're creating
mm,
dependency, it's because you've elevated yourself to such a point where you have become the source of love for other people.
mm,
And that's dangerous and risky
mm,
because
mm,
true love will point to themselves as the source, not as
mm.
in a point to the individual, not that the
Yeah,
power is in
not
me.
us.
Yeah, right, not
Yeah,
me, not the
yeah,
leader.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
obviously, if they have faith, then we glorify God. But if they don't
Mm,
have faith, then we still point to the individual as the source of that. If we become what they're seeking, then there's
mm,
attachment, and the attachment
mm,
breeds suffering. Um,
mm,
and it's hidden in plain sight because
mm,
unless you can see some of these inner dynamics at play, you
mm,
just assume that that's just the way things are, right? But it's
mm.
idol worship, it's hero worship,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's dangerous. In a
yeah.
culture without God, we'll make gods of our culture, and so many of these, businesses, leaders, coaches, they've elevated themselves to being mini gods.
Mm. I kind of feel for them because I was in that position.
Ah,
I
yeah,
was thinking that way. I was operating in that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
dimension and thinking they need me. I need to be there. I need to have that hero, save the
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
And how much of a fool was I? And I look back now, I'm like, geez, now I can't even point fingers and say, hey, you're doing this. All I gotta
Well,
do is live my life now
yeah.
on this character, this
It's
principle,
it's
and just live it from there.
it's some wisdom there because it's
Mm,
not saying, hey, give up, don't go and save the world. What it's saying is
yeah.
that the fate of the world is in far greater hands than I.
Mm,
It
mm,
just simply says
mm,
we're invited to do
mm,
what we have right where we are
mm,
with what we've got.
mm,
That for me is far more practical. So
mm,
I think there's something wonderful
mm,
that happens on this heart-centered leadership journey is you become
mm,
less preoccupied, less concerned about the material, the existent, and it becomes more about the advancement of our own growth and our own spirit. And it becomes more
come on.
about how do we get to know ourselves in our fullest. So I was fortunate enough to
Mm,
interview a man called Neil Donald Walsh, who wrote the Conversations with God series. And the two
mm,
things I really took from his book was that we're involved in two things. One is to be who we are, and the second
mm,
is to create who we are. And if we can
mm,
just continue to do that, the
mm,
byproduct of that is that I show up being the best version of me so that when it comes, I'll help whoever I interact with. I'm not
mm,
defined
mm,
by my work or whether I'm a husband or a podcaster or a parent. Like
mm,
wherever I go, there I am, said the old
mm,
Stoics. And that's it. I trust
mm,
that if I can continue to refine my heart, my character, and my skills, God will put
mm.
the right people in front of me, and I'll be of
Come
service
on.
to them. And I trust that that's how we save the world.
Mm, mm.
One person at a
So
time.
how
We change the world for that one person.
mm, how do we get this message to people who may not share the same faith?
Well, the wisdom I have gained in my short years is that
Mm.
those with ears let them hear. Right, my energy is not best used convincing everybody that they need to lead with love, right? If I have to convince you to let leading with love is a good thing, like we're in the wrong conversation, right? So, so for me, I'm about speaking to those with ears. I think there are many disheartened people who feel discouraged by being either faithful or even just heart based, right? Loving,
Mm,
kind, compassionate leaders. I think that can be perceived as weak, soft,
mm, mm,
and I think sometimes giving a voice to those who already believe that that's possible, they just need to
mm,
be surrounded by. That's how you create a movement, right? That's obviously how you
mm,
take the 12, send them
mm,
out. You
mm,
give them the confidence so that they haven't got to go it alone. Not everyone's got
mm,
the courage to show up as the only
mm,
person
mm,
for fear of judgment, for fear of lack of safety. For me, I did get judged quite heavily whilst I was in the police. It did not, as
mm,
confident as I am, it knocked me for a little bit.
mm,
It meant I went
mm,
underground. It meant I built a hidden
mm,
Facebook community, which is a nice byproduct,
mm,
right? I took what they
mm,
meant for evil and turned it to good. But that's it for me. It's about I like to think a bit like sending out a Batman signal. Here's a frequency of
mm,
love, and if you're attuned to it, come find
mm.
it and come join us, and we all move. We all move.
I love that. I love that. So how, it's like keep shining your light where it is. Keep
Yeah.
shining your light. And it might resonate with some people, it might not, but still keep shining that light. And the right people will come into it and see it and
Well,
realize that they're not alone.
yes, there's some research that
Mm,
says that when we're in a state of love, we emit biophotons. Biophotons is the measurement of light. So when we literally do what we love for and
yeah.
with people that we love, we emit
Mm,
actual light. So that phrase of shine your light is a genuine thing, right? Our frequency,
right.
our light, the energy we emit changes. People say you light up a room, right? Well, that's
Mm,
what it means when we do more of what we love in the service of other people. And I truly believe we have to get away from this idea of saving the world to just
mm,
bringing it, using it,
mm,
trusting
mm,
that for the
mm,
one who needs it, it will
mm,
feel like healing. My wife,
mm,
right? My wife, when she gets out of her head and she just creates art from her heart, when she just
mm,
artistically sits there and just watercolors,
mm, mm.
the messages she gets are beyond her expectation. There's something on an
Wow.
energetic level. They're like, oh my God, I need this in my life. And she's like,
Wow.
what's that about? And that's what happens when you partner with this
Wow.
love. One
Mm,
plus one equals three, which is me plus my heart equals new creation in the world. This third being, right?
mm,
And this
mm,
third being is definitely something that the world needs. And my
mm,
job is to just be courageous in sharing it with those who
mm.
need it.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Ryan, listen, we've gone off script in this dimension where we've gone, but I really love it because this again, this is the reason why I started this podcast was to really because again, can I just say I was I was called disillusioned. I was called sick because of the philosophy that we're sharing now.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
again, again, you're right. Some people either resonate with, some people it wouldn't. And I said, okay, cheers. I'm going to create something that really speaks about it because I know it exists. And I also learned it from someone, someone who was speaking about this philosophy and how the Greek philosophy has changed, right from the back of the Romans is coming to now. And people think they're better than others and others are less, will always be less. And we never lead from a place of love. We lead
Yeah.
from a place of domination and manipulation and so I wanted to create a podcast that really challenging, and you have just gone right into it. So this
Sorry,
is
mate. You
no,
thought
I
you might
loved it.
just
I love
bleed it in
it.
episode 3, episode 4, and just straight
You
to it.
know what I mean? Little by little, but hey, we've gone right into it, and because this is real. This is real, Ryan. Ryan, let me ask you this one more question. What is it you're trying to create now in your world through your work?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's about helping people bring more of their heart to the world. I think that looks and sounds and feels different. There is no one simple formula to say it all looks the same. When I connect a man to his heart, it's very different to a woman, and vice versa, and all things in between. It's a very personal journey. But I know that when I connect someone to the essence of who they truly are, what they truly care
Mm,
about, what they stand for, what they're good at, what they're not good at, when I help them integrate both the light and the dark within themselves, man, that can change a
mm,
life. That's healing. That's power. That is love. That it becomes, if I can help people even just articulate what it is that they have to bring to the world in the service of other people. And then my entire life's work is about encouraging people to
mm,
be the fullest, most expressive version of who they truly are, to do more of what they love, to serve people
mm,
that they love, and trust that when they do that, they'll leave a legacy. They'll leave a ripple effect. They'll leave a heartprint where people can't not be better. You and I having these conversations. Me and you can't not be better for having this heart-filled, love-filled conversation. It's just the byproduct of love. People grow where they're loved, and and
mm.
and this is what we're nurturing ourselves with, the spirit of love, that plants wonderful seeds which will always harvest good fruit.
Mm, love that. Really love that. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. And also, on your journey, what's been the highlight of this journey for you so far?
Well, I've been running a mastermind, so a group of 12 leaders, heart-centered leaders. We've been getting together every Thursday night since 2020, and we've journeyed around the highs and the lows of life. Right? We've seen some real struggles and some challenges, both business, health, children, and it's just an honor and privilege to lead these people and just journey, to be someone to walk alongside them and speak into their life. I've seen new birth, new creation, new businesses. I've seen actual children, being manifested and born, and what a great privilege that is to walk alongside amazing human beings. It if you're not like inspired by human beings, you're not paying attention. Go and get to know people, their strengths, their weaknesses beyond social media, right? Because social media is
Mm,
nonsense. You just see the good bits.
mm,
Go and spend real time with real people journeying through life, and you'll have so much awe and admiration for this divine. We're all fractal expressions of the divine, and the
mm.
closer we can get to each other, the more we'll feel drawn to just reaching out a hand and just helping our brothers and sisters around us.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Ryan, listen, I want to have you here again,
Ah,
you
mate, love
know,
to.
please, because I think I was telling someone the other day there's a massive issue with especially because I feel my purpose. I was reintroduced to my purpose as of last year. So I started Kelvin Inspires a long time ago, but then it really dawned on me that I need to help leaders, raise up leaders. Because most people are interested in raising followers. And I realized that no, there's a major problem here. It's not heart-centered, it's positional, it's title-based, it's
Yeah.
monetary value. I was in that game. I was playing that game for the last 3 years. And then my eyes suddenly opened. Again, I was called sick. I lost connections, I lost businesses, I lost things that I was holding on to for dear life. And the reality is I had to let that go because I know purpose is greater than this. It's like this is me now. This is my purpose. I want to talk
Mm.
leadership. I want to help people realize that it's about helping people find meaning to life. And so I am excited about this journey. I want to
Mate,
hang out with people like you, Ryan.
Yeah,
So
honestly, like in this space, you've got more and
yeah.
more of the you've got more and more people turning to Jesus because I tell you what, if you're brave enough to go on the search of truth, God will reveal the truth, right? And I have gone searching far and wide, not just to the Bible.
Mm,
Everywhere I go points to
mm,
Jesus being who he says he was. I go to Joe
mm,
Dispenza, I go to Bruce Lipton, I go to um
mm,
a variety of, I even go to Dolores Cannon, who's talking about past life
yeah.
regression. Everywhere
Mm,
I go, everyone's acknowledging him as king, who he is, who he says he was. So if you're in the brave pursuit of truth, anyway, this
mm,
journey is not about righteousness. It's not about being on the right or the wrong side. This is about how does
mm,
my faith
mm,
manifest in me, so that the fruits of my spirit make me a better lover and a leader. And I tell you what, I'm a better husband
mm.
and father with this rather than without it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Ryan.
No, I
Thank you for
appreciate
this
it, buddy.
time. We catch up again. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And Ryan, how can people meet you?
So just four simple letters, abty.co.uk. That's the website. You'll find out all what we're up to. We've got a community, we've got a podcast, coaching services, all around heart-centered leadership. And yeah, come and spend time with us. It's all about the experience, and rather than any sales, or come and spend time. There's so much there for free. And if you want more, there's always more.
Mm. Thank you so much, Ryan. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you for joining us today, everyone. Thank you. First episode, and that is it. Thank you now.